Wait a minute. Dinomists in Link format, but they're not even good in the current format. Yeah, well, I mean, like, the cheapest shit. So, I mean, why not? So, Dinomists are a mostly beatdown focused archetype, although the fact that in the current format with, all of Zodiacs at 3, you can play everybody's favorite little shit totally awesome. But we're going to be talking about them for Link format, and yeah, that's not as appealing as they should be for Link format, but they do have a fair bit of recovery options in terms of them going to the extra deck, seeing as how most, if not all of their effects constantly try to send them there, which does sound terrible considering the fact that you can only, special summon one from the extra deck on a pendulum summon, but they aren't as bad of an option just as like a really budget pendulum deck, I would think. Now, honestly, what I would call their quote-unquote main playmaker, despite the fact that everybody likes Rex more, is Dynamis Spinos. Why? Because 2 of him on your first turn off of a pendulum summon, assuming you have, well, firstly, just 6 Dynamis cards in hand. 2 of them are a complete scale and 2 of them are just Spinos. Or, you could also have one be searched off of a Dinomist charge, means that if your opponent went first, and they could somehow not assemble a field, 2 Spinos popping 2 cards you control instantly kills your opponent, which is, frankly, the freest game you could ever really get with Dinomists, and besides that, you can also attack directly with it. How? By tributing a Dinomist monster you control, which means it goes to the extra deck. Woo-wee. This is a common theme with Dinomists. Most of their effects either require other Dynomist monsters to destroy monsters your opponent controls for various other effects or add some condition to it. And then there's the big ones that like to tribute your Dynomist monsters for various effects. While all of their pendulum scales are either 3 or 6, and all 3 scales share the same effect, and all 6 scales also share the same effect. The 3 scale being that if a Dynomist monster you control would be destroyed by battle, or just card effect, you can just send that card to your extra deck via destruction instead. Or, as we can see here with the 6 scales, anything that would target a Dynomist card as just a card effect, you can just negate that shit by destroying a 6 scale. Now, Dynomist T-Rex is certainly the other stronger monster in this deck. At the end of the damage step, whenever if this card attacked, you can tribute one other Dynamonster monster to do one of these things. You can shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand at random into the deck and gain 100 attack, which is considerably not that bad, but also is kind of lackluster for for tributing a monster, although the attack gain is permanent. Or this card can attack an opponent's monster again, and it can then inflict piercing damage. It's not that bad of an option just for the other tribute effect being kind of lackluster and ass. Now, really, the card that I feel makes them survivable in Link format is Dynomist Charge. Whenever you just activate it, you get a search, which is not that bad, and is actually one of their, well, I would not say one of their better, I'd say it's actually just their really only good search option, as in it's probably their only search option, that does not destroy them super hard or sets them in the pendulum zones. Now, after that, it sticks around on the field. It's a continuous spell card, and its effect, while it is just sitting there on the field, is whenever a Dynomist monster you control would be just sent to the extra deck, face up, you can instead add one of them to the hand. What does that mean? Having multiple charge on the field means its effect procs multiple times, and since multiple are being sent, you can just add back multiple to your hand. While that does mean your opponent has to not destroy them with some kind of spell trap removal in any way, it is still a way to retrieve your dead cards. Another way to retrieve them is, Rescue Hamster, which is also a 5 scale, meaning you can pend your level 4 monsters. If you have a 3 scale in the other extra deck zone, or in the other pendulum zone, the problem with that being you can't pend level 5s, which means you can't make CDI, which means you can't really have their best extra deck option just available to you. Now, it's pendulum scale. You can get it out of your pendulum scale effect. You can just get it out of the pendulum zone and retrieve 2 cards from your extra deck. Problem is they have to be with the same name. Just add them to your hand. Which means you have one you can put immediately in the scale and one you can immediately pendulum summon. If that's a level 5, that means you can make a CDI, assuming you have the extra monster zone space to do that. Or you can just pendulum summon it raw. And if this card is normal summoned, you can, and you have if you basically have any Dinomist card in your extra deck face up, you can just tribute this card, and then, you can special summon the other 2 copies from your deck to the field, but their effects are negated and they are destroyed during the end phase. But seeing as how you can summon level 5s with that, you can most definitely just make a free CDI off of it, which is not bad. Dinomist Howling, their newest card and probably their last card, you activate it and it just, it loads your extra deck, or it just loads your fucking pendulum scales. Whatever. That's perfectly good, and it means that it's great. Other problem is you can't special summon anything but Dinomist monsters. Good news is, the fuck are you running besides Dinomist monsters? Oh, wait a minute, but isn't there a fucking, Performa Pal Draco, whatever the fuck, variant? Yes? But we're not talking about that. You wouldn't fucking be running Howling in that, would ya? And if this card is already face up, you can, once per turn, tribute a Dinomist monster, then compulse a opponent's monster. It's not the best, and it is certainly something, but it's frankly not going to help you much in the grand scheme of things, considering the fact that on your next opponent's turn, they'll probably get that thing back anyways. So, it's kind of a trade-off effect, all things considered. Now, you have Dinomist Plesius. Yeah, the words are hard. This card is basically a 3-0 staple, if only due to the fact that it nukes your opponent's... doesn't nuke. But for every Dinomist card you control, including the spells, the traps, the pendulum cards, they just all lose 100 attack. Which means with 5 in the main monster zone, 5 of them in the pendulum and pendulums and spell and trap card zones, and maybe 1 in your extra monster zone, and then having 3 of these be 3 of those monsters, they lose 3,300 attack. That means you could beat over a fucking so much shit with just anything in your deck at that point. Literally, you could trade away, you could probably fucking kill them with a Rescue Hamster. Look at that 300 attack. That would kill most monsters after having 3 Plesius and a full Dinomist field. Mind you, that will probably never happen, but having 3 on the field does cause absolutely significant attack loss. And I mean, defense loss for those super heavy samurais. Then you have Dynamis Ankylos. It's, well, certainly a 6 scale, and any monster you destroy with a Dinomist is banished. Face up, mind you, but it's still banished, and not all decks like banishing anyways. Then you have Ceratops. It's just good swarming. It's just good for swarming, because if you normal summon anything, you can summon this alongside it to, I guess, provide backup, or, just a little bit more support, because they might get a little bit lonely. Yeah. And, other cards they most certainly have are Dynamist Rush. It's just a trap card that special summons, and it is unaffected by other card effects until the end of the turn, and, well, it is destroyed during the end phase. You can only activate this card once per turn, and it's just a good option if you go first and you need an extra face on the field. Or if you have, already set up Pendulum Scales and a free extra monster zone, which also isn't that bad. Now, their field spell, I know it's that kind of a field spell, where all it does is give a minuscule attack bonus plus some negligible effect, but this does make all of your cards essentially Utopia the Lightning in terms of effect negation during the battle phase, and it also negates Lightning's effect. Because it's whenever any Dynamis monster does battle, whether it be attacking or being attacked, it still can't activate its effects. Which means that Utopia the Lightning is stuck at 2,500 during every battle phase. Mind you, there's only roughly 2 cards in the deck that have a sizable attack enough to actively attack over that. But it's still something. Now you have CDI, which is CDI, just negate all the shit, attach your opponent's face-up monsters, blah 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 blah. You have Nova, who cares, you just use that shit to rank up out of this. But hey, if Nova gets solemned because your opponent's a fucking idiot, you could summon Barbaroid. And that right there is a key fucking detail. And frankly, if you beat your opponent to death with a Barbaroid and Dinomists, they pretty much have deserved to lose. Because at that point, that's their fault. So with that, so ends another episode, and I think at this point what will I do next? Let's talk about Link Speedroids next. So I guess I'll see you then.